Next up on the PreCure Mega Watch review thing is Futari wa PreCure Max Heart. It is the direct continuation of the first season, Futari wa PreCure, and is one of two seasons that get a direct continuation, unless you count the sort of spin-off Otona 23 that aired late in 2023. Max Heart, I think, does a fair bit to improve upon what Futari wa PreCure set, but I don't think that overall it is as good of a season. I enjoyed it considerably. It might be one of my favorite seasons, but I don't think it's great overall. And I wonder if in some part of that is because of the fact that it is a direct continuation and it doesn't do a whole lot to shake up the Monster of the Week format. It pretty much keeps everything directly the same. The addition of Hikari into the main PreCures was interesting, seeing as how Nagisa and Honoka were solely a duo for the entire first season. Hikari gives them opportunities to shine in ways they couldn't with just two people, acting as another voice to play off of and as another combatant to play off of. However, the action feels toned down throughout much of the show, and despite the villains being fun for the most part, the finale is fairly standard, and I think even backs away from an interesting antagonist design in favor of the generic mob-looking version of the Dark Lord that they fight at the end of the show, which is pretty much just the same Dark Lord that they fought at the end of the first one, and kind of at the midway point of the first one also. But you gotta be fighting some Dark Lord, and by God, they are going to do it. I do think that Max Heart had some interesting ideas going with it, though. I really liked seeing the slow build towards Hikari being the reincarnation of the Queen of Light, or sort of her spirit. I don't remember the exact term used in the show, but I like that they build on this, and they have Hikari build her confidence as a conduit of this power of the Garden of Light. But they don't force her to be the queen. They're not like, oh, you're the queen, so you have to do this. It's building her up so she can take up the mantle and come into this power on her own. I think they get into that a little bit in one of the movies. I'm not going to talk about that here because the movies are a separate review. But I think that the season does a decent job of that. And I really liked getting to see Hikari interact with the child who is the sort of same thing of the Dark Lord. And honestly, the interactions that the reincarnated Dark Lord has with the antagonists who are trying to raise him into the power he once had are really interesting, because they obviously are evil. They are pretty comically villainous, but they have a lot of care shown in how they want to take care of this child whom they are worshipping as their villainous master. The generic Zakena that they have taking care of him are comical. Like, you get a lot of fun comic relief out of them going about their day and like trying to make sure he's entertained, because he is a child with a short attention span and he wants to be playing and wants to be having fun, which begs the question of nature versus nurture. When you are the soul fragments of an incredibly evil ancient entity that is unparalleled in power, until some magical girls come along and kill you with the power of hope and love and friendship, as one does when you are a Dark Lord. That's part of the ecosystem. That's your job. But I don't think that Max Heart did a lot different with the show overall. I think it was a little funny that the mascots get a little bit more focus alongside Hikari, because Porun specifically almost has a little character arc, because he is also baby mode child man, and it doesn't change a whole lot because it's Monster of the Week. They tend to not do that, but does a little bit of maturing and not being completely selfish all of the time. Still a fair amount. That's kind of his main personality trait, childish, selfish. That's fine, whatever. But I liked Max Heart. I enjoyed it considerably. It took me a long time to get to. It took me even longer to talk about it and formulate thoughts on it. But I think it's a solid 6 out of 10 season. If I ever rewatch it, I may change that, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Who knows?